Mr. Stroud, Mr. Bernard, one moment, please. We're just having a bit of a technical difficulty on the YouTube end. So just bear with us, please.
No problem, no problem.
Thank you so much.
Hi guys, if you're hearing me, we are up live. Just give me a few minutes. There are 8 people watching. We're just trying to ensure that we are seeing it on YouTube, but it's there. Tamika, can you put your video on so I can see, please? Because we have no visuals. Thank you. Um, Recording, share. So I think the live got, okay, I think I'm seeing the problem now. The live from Zoom is where we're having a little bit of problem. Give me 1 second. It is sending. Can someone everything is set up on the back end here. Um, it is feeding to YouTube, but I don't understand why we're not seeing it visually. It is live on YouTube.
Yes, I'm seeing it on YouTube. I'm seeing Greater Coalition of Services. It's written there. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing the live as well. More people are coming in.
Can everyone, Mr. Bernard, can you put on your camera as well, please? I'm not hearing. Okay. So we're hearing. I'm seeing Mr. Pearson because you were speaking. I'm seeing it on live.
Are you seeing me as well?
The picture is on now on YouTube. I'm seeing Mr. Bernard on YouTube now. Just went off again.
Okay, good morning to everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us for the GCSI Virtual E-Career Day 2026, hosted by the Grenada Coalition of Services Industries under the theme, The Future Has Arrived. As participants continue logging in, we encourage you to ensure that those who are presenting, ensure that your audio and video settings are working properly. And students, as you join us via YouTube Live, we also are inviting you to submit your questions in the live chat, which will be shared with our presenters during the Q&A segments. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the presenters and the wealth of information which you will receive. At this time, it is my pleasure to invite our representative from the Ministry of Trade and Export Development to deliver the welcome remarks. The ministry continues to play an important role in supporting the development of Grenada's services sector and initiatives such as this one, which aim to inspire and prepare the next generation of professionals. Please join me in welcoming our representative from the Ministry of Trade and Export Development, Mr. Pearson Stroud.
Okay, good morning. I'm representing the Ministry of Education. Um, on behalf of the Chief Education Officer, Dr. Dan Jeffrey, Abel Jeffrey, I want to express my gratitude to the Greater Coalition of Services Industries for this initiative. The responsibility that I have within the Ministry of Education is at the Student Support Services Unit, which under that unit we have guidance and counseling. And part of the guidance and counseling program are career development and career opportunities, and opening the eyes of our students to careers is one of the major responsibilities that we have. And so whenever partners like the GCSI has initiatives like that, we are very pleased that we can partner with you. For the young people who are listening, you know, through your counselors, you've had career guidance. Some schools, I know some secondary schools use the career keys as a method at Form 3 to be able to help students identify what are the areas in which that they might be gifted in based on their personality and so on. So we really want to make sure that we express the fact that it is important that as young people, you begin to think about your future and the opportunities that are out there. And according to the theme that the future has arrived, the reality is that there are careers that are ahead of you that are not necessarily popular now. People may not know about it now. People may not speak much about it now, but in the future, it will be the thing that it will be the careers that will be in demand. And some of the careers that we sometimes pursue right now, even sometimes within the financial industry, may eventually become obsolete. And so I want you to participate really well as much as possible. Seek as much information as possible today from your presenters. Even if you may not be sure that this is a particular area that you might be interested in, it might be able to pique your interest and to just to see what it is like, what it might be like to have somebody from industry speak to you as to what it is like to be in a field like that. So again, on behalf of the Ministry of Education, we want to express our gratitude to the GCSI for this initiative. And young people, please take advantage of this opportunity today. I know we have some counselors and students who will come on eventually as time goes on, because the link, the YouTube link, we had to make sure that we updated it. And so that is going to happen. We eventually are going to have a very good group of young people here today. And those of you who are here, I express our gratitude for you coming on, and make sure you take every opportunity to get as much learning as you can. Thank you very much, and have a successful day today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pearson Straub. At this point in time, we will call Mr. Jude Bernard, Chairman of GCSI, to give a few remarks to you. Mr. Bernard.
Right. Good morning, everyone. I was not down to speak today, but this morning at least, but I'm happy to be here. My background, of course, initially was in education. I did teach for 10 years. So I know what it is to be a young person in school and at this stage wondering, what will tomorrow be? Will I be a teacher, police officer, a doctor, scientist, whatever it is? In my days, the options were very limited. Thankfully, we are in a world today where the options are unlimited. Um, you can just imagine it, and it is available. And we are very happy at the Greater Coalition of Service Industries to be a part of that forward thinking, looking into the future, looking at what, as Mr. Stroud said, are going to be the occupations of tomorrow and preparing you for them today. So we are excited about having you. We look forward to the presentations. We look forward to your participation, your questions on the live, and we expect and hope that today would be a life-changing experience for everyone who is a part of this today. So once more, welcome, and let's have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard, for your words of encouragement to the students. We now move into the first presentation of the day. Our first presenter is Ms. Mashida Phillip from Projects Creative Group, who will be speaking on film production. Film production is an exciting and rapidly growing creative industry that blends storytelling, technology, and entrepreneurship. Ms. Phillip will share some insight into what it takes to build a career in this field and the opportunities available for young people interested in the creative sector. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Mashida Phillip. We do apologize at this moment. It seems that Ms. Phillip is having some technical difficulties on her end. Please bear with us one moment, please. Thank you so much
Yes,
for your patience.
Mhm. Sorry about that. Students, we're having some technical problems here, and we're trying to work around them. But in the meantime, I'll probably just try to bring out the old teacher in me. I did teach, as I said, for 10 years, and I did enjoy every bit of it. And the whole aim behind what we are trying to do today is to do something different. Many of you have participated in career day exercises, and in many cases, the police officer or the nurse or the doctor or the lawyer comes to your school, and even from very early on, and they tell you about their professions. But we see this as being very limiting because that police officer can only go to one school at a time, speak to one group at a time. And if even we try to have it done a number of times, it's repeated, or a couple of police officers doing it in different schools, it is still limited. And everybody hears something different because everybody delivers differently. But we felt that if we could get the best of what we have to offer in terms of the service sectors, and we bring those people, we make them available or accessible to all the students at one time, and in a manner where you can actually see what they are doing and how they do it. When someone comes to your school, if they're a photographer, they cannot come with a studio. The most they can do is probably come with a camera, or a police officer may come with a uniform, but they cannot really take you into the fire truck or do the kind of things. But we feel that when we have it virtually, you can actually get into the space of that service producer, see the get into the environment of where they work, see the devices that they use, and get a feel for that discipline or that profession. And hence the reason why we went the route of having what do you call a virtual or electronic career day. So there may be little hiccups, little hitches here and there, but we are confident that the experience you'll have today would not be able to be had any other way. So that's the reason why we have gone through this. We have been planning it for quite a while, and you know that hitches do occur. But we believe that we'll get over that little hurdle here. And I know that Miss Phillips' presentation on film production is a particularly very, very important and interesting one. So we will try to get her back at a different time. But in the meantime, as we wait for the next presenter, is he ready? Miss Bernard, is the other presenter ready to roll?
Unfortunately, he's not ready as yet.
He's not ready, but we try to advance, to preempt someone else to come early because of the complication with Miss Phillip is having. But in the meantime, as I was saying before, we believe that the experience you'll have today is a unique one. You won't be able to have it by someone coming to your school. And no one will be able to go to every one of those 23 or 25 secondary schools at the same time, especially those on the sister isle. But we feel that if we do it that the way we are doing it this morning, everyone will have access to the same experience, the same knowledge from the same experts in the field. Simultaneously. Sorry for that break. We have folks who don't always obey the traffic code, and they relish themselves in the amount of noise that they can make. So I'm sorry about the distraction. So students, how many schools do we have online? Do we know at this point in time, Mrs. Bernard?
No, we do not. Sorry, Mr. Bernard.
We don't know how many schools we have tuned in, but we trust that all, if not all, most of our schools are part of this. And in spite of the little hitch we have at the beginning, we are very, very optimistic that it's going to be something worth experiencing, and it's the experience that you would not have any other way. Let me also say to you that we know that school closes tomorrow, God willing. But we also have a service expo that is being run at the Trade Center. And for tomorrow, Friday, all students in uniform will be allowed in free. There you will be able to experience again some of the people who are going to be speaking here today and others at their booths at that expo. And you'll be able to experience what they do, learn more about them, learn more of the service they produce, whether it is in film, whether it is in photography, whether it is in IT, massage therapy, whatever the area is, architecture. We don't have architecture. We have architecture here later on today. There are others that may not be on today that will be available at the Trade Center tomorrow. So you can speak to your parents, speak to your teachers, and all students in uniform will be allowed in free at the Trade Center. It starts at 10:30 in the morning around about, and it ends at 6 p.m. So those of you on mainland Grenada, you are invited to come in and speak to your counselors and your teachers and see what can be done to make you be a part of that experience at the Trade Center tomorrow, God willing. I'm still waiting to see if there's any further updates.
Yes, Mr. Bernard, thank you so much. We will now present Ms. Mashida Phillip. Just to reiterate, she'll be speaking on film production. So let's welcome Ms. Mashida Phillip. Thank you, Mr. Bernard.
A pleasant good morning to everyone. My name is Mashida Phillip. We have been experiencing some technical issues this morning with my Wi-Fi, so I do apologize. I am trying to get the document up and running so we can start the presentation. I am a Grenadian American filmmaker. I've been doing this for the last 10 years. I also run the 12 Degrees North, 61 Degrees West Grenada Film Festival here. And I wear two hats basically. I create projects that is telling authentic stories about our Caribbean heritage and experiences. And I provide a platform that do the promotions for other Caribbean filmmakers here, both locally and in the diaspora. I'm trying to get the presentation up. Give me a few minutes. Today is just one of those days with technical difficulties. Just hold 1 second. Tamika, did you get it? Here we go. You can do it in full scale and go to the next slide. So before we start, you can expand it, Tamika. So before we start, I know that we are speaking to students, and this is a career day. So basically, now we have a lot of different content creators, and I know we have people who are interested in making content, anything from TikTok to Instagram to YouTube content. We have the people who are interested in gaming and streaming because that's another big part of the industry right now. We have people who enjoy looking at content. We call them the watchers, the storytellers, people like myself who draws a lot of inspiration from telling stories, telling the experiences through words. There are those who just love expression through music, and that is conveyed into music videos. And also the people who are just curious. They're not sure exactly where they fall, but they really love the whole aspect of consuming content. Next slide. So basically, I had prepared a beautiful reel that is showcasing different films that were done here in Grenada, but because of the difficulties we are having, that is not propelling a little bit more. Tamika, you can move forward. Move forward, Tamika, if you can hear me. So basically, in the era where we are right now, you have people who are now making content for the immediacy of TikTok and Instagram, and then you have the traditional way in which we are doing. Can you hear me? Am I louder now? Okay. So basically, can you move the slide forward, Tamika? You gotta go forward. Okay. For some reason, there is a delay in the slides. Um, I'm not sure if it's on my end, Tamika, or your end. Here we go. Can you go back? There we go. Now we are on same par. One more. Go forward. So just a bit about me. I attended the Boca Secondary School here in Grenada prior to relocating to New York. And a big part of the things that I'm excited about is telling stories that basically represent who we are as Grenadians. I have created or produced two original short films here in Grenada that featured all Grenadian actors and tell the stories from our lens. That has afforded me the opportunity to travel and showcase that throughout the world. So I've been to Switzerland, Europe, and Africa in presenting those films. We have received awards from UNESCO to do additional projects here that is telling authentic storytelling. So last year, we were able to create a lab that was featuring female filmmakers, allowing them the opportunity to develop their own original content here in Grenada. So I really enjoy what I do. Going back to where we are, content creators versus filmmakers right now, what is the difference? You might be asking. Because a lot of people have accessibility to their cell phones, and they are producing things, but storytelling is a big fundamental for filmmaking. But there are some nuances that are still different. For content in the modern day terminologies right now, basically you're having creators who are doing things that is trend driven, in order to go viral immediately. Instead of shooting for hours and planning, sometimes it's just in the spur of the moment to capture. It's in shorter frame, 15 minutes or 15 seconds to 60 seconds, that you're creating content to be exciting for people to digest. And a lot of the result is based on the algorithm. So you upload it to YouTube and you upload it to Instagram and you upload it to TikTok and you wait to see how the audiences are reaching you. So it is very algorithm driven. You tend to edit more on your cell phones and you have that sense of immediacy. And sometimes one person can do everything, right? You can put your stuff on a tripod, you can act, you can cut, you can do all of those things. And the difference between what you're seeing as content creators, as an independent person versus that of a filmmaker, filmmaking takes a little bit more time to coordinate because there is a system in which we have to follow, right? Instead of trend driven, for as content creators, filmmaking is about vision driven. You have to have a vision in mind, what story you want to capture, what story you want to tell, what is the audience is. Normally, it takes months or years to create and develop a film. So you might be working on a short film, and that short film might take you a year to develop. Um, in order to get the funding for that, you have to first develop your script. Then you have to seek funding if you are not funding it for yourself. There are constant rewrites in the script that takes place, and there's a whole team that comes together when you're making films, from a dedicated script writer to a director to producers who go out and find the money for you. And there is a whole crew of specialized people that come together to make this one project. So a feature-length film that you may watch that is over an hour, that might take 3 to 5 years to develop. So it is not something that is fly by night, but we always look at where trend is going, and you can still make a beautiful film off your cell phone, but it is based on your story. Everything starts with the story, and what we are seeing here, there is still a void in the market to tell most stories from the Caribbean, from Grenada. There is a strong desire for persons on the outside to understand and to appreciate what our culture and our lifestyle looks like here from our lens. So the onus is on us to take the responsibility to tell the stories, to get people to understand who we are. There is a few Caribbean films that has made a huge impact globally. And starting from the 70s, you had the first Jamaican film that I could recall, that made a transformation in my life, was called The Harder They Come. So that was the first time I saw on screen Caribbean people speaking in Caribbean dialect that led such an impact on me. And I always wanted to do something like that, and I've always seeked out films that represents me, and I can have some level of comfortability with it as well. Another film that comes to mind that has changed the landscape come from Jamaica as well. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it. It is called Sprinter. And then we have Open Season that was done here in Grenada that was featuring Grenadians. And most recently, we have Don't Blink by Teddy Frederick that basically showcased throughout Grenada, featuring a lot of Grenadians and tapped into one of the things that is so essential to us, and that's the folklore storytelling. So if you are interested in filmmaking in any way, shape, or form, those are some of the things that you have to think about. What is it can I tell that will have the global audience interested in learning more about what we experience here in Grenada? Trends are good, but sometimes the things that are louder are the things that people are not familiar with, and curiosity comes into play. And that's where your skill set in storytelling surpasses everything else that you do. So, I've talked a bit about the process, but what can you do with the skills? So, if you become a filmmaker or if you are interested in this line of work, the skills that you acquire by learning how to tell a story, how to direct people on screen, how to edit the film. If you are someone who is interested in electric, there is a role for you on set as well. So with those skill sets, certain industries that can be supported, you can be a music video director. I know that in Grenada here, there is a lot of people doing music videos. So those are skill sets that is there. Whether you like fashion, you can be a stylist on the music videos and on the film set. Makeup artist, you can be that person who's ensuring that everyone looks flawless on screen. Transportation, if you like to drive, you can support the people that way. So there are so many different things you can do on a film set, in the film industry, from just everyday film skill set. Another way in which you can support that is through tourism, by telling cultural stories and heritage stories here. Grenada tourism blossoms a lot on how we market our experiences here. So that is another industry you can look into with a degree in filmmaking. We talked about content creation as a social media personnel. You can become an educator. You can train people on the processes of filmmaking, and she's on. Go further. Go to what you can do with the skills. Slide 7, Tamika. Sorry. You can be a journalist, as well, documenting and archiving the current and present time right now that now sits in spaces that persons can always go back to do reference points. You can move on to slide 8, Tamika. So most people are shy away from filmmaking because filmmaking is a very expensive process. You see the guys running around with their cameras and everything, and it costs a lot of money as a videographer. It costs a lot of money as a filmmaker to put all of those things together. But I started where I had a small camera, and it's not so much the tools that you have, but it's how you package it and how you present it. So I like to say start where you are. Today, everyone has a phone that has accessibility. Phones are in a way that can consume or capture things in 4K. Um, so there is no excuse why you cannot use that. You have to learn how to utilize the features on the phone Instead of regular settings, you can go in and learn how to do things more in manual mode where you control those things. And then basically honing in your skills on telling stories. If you can tell stories and if you can do a music video, you can challenge yourself to do something that is more narrative based, and then that way you can do a 3 minute short film as opposed to just a music video that is bam, 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 bam. So those are just some of the things that you can do. And then there is a huge desire, like I said, for Caribbean content. I would love to challenge every one of you to do more things about how do you see your community? How do you see your family? How do you um, um, experience things like Spice Mass through your lens? So when someone is sitting outside, they can say, oh, this is how it really is because it's coming from your own local experiences that is more authentic. Whether it's from the carnival scene to maybe if you're living in a community that is agricultural based, you can talk about farming, you can talk about fishing, you can talk about anything, but there's always a story that you need to tell. Um, we can move on, Tamika, to the next slide. But the reality of it is, similar to you, I also utilize AI for a lot of things. And AI to me is another tool that helps us advance our skill set here as filmmakers. So recently, what we have been doing through the lab we ran last year, and even in my own creative process right now, I do a lot of brainstorming utilizing some of the AI tools, whether it is from chat. If I have an idea that I want to tell a story about, I use chat to help me frame it. And then I take that concept and I go back in and workshop it so it becomes my own original content that I am producing out. One of the things we have to be very careful about is when we are utilizing AI to support us, we just don't take what AI is doing and say that's our own original content because it is not. We have to prompt it to help it shape the things that we want to put out there in a format that not only represent what we want in our head, but also what our audiences can appreciate. You have people like Rihanna who had used AI in her projections when she performed on the Super Bowl. Drake has used AI by covering one of the other artist's voice. So you're seeing that. Big box office films like Wakanda and those things, they use VR and the AI to help now tell holistic stories and to expand things. So AI has been around and has been part of the industry for years, but it's how we are utilizing it right now. I think AI is a beautiful thing. It is a tool. It is not a replacement for who we are as original storytellers. And I am happy to see how this is helping to um, support our industry even more, and it is allowing us to have access to a global market by utilizing it. So when you create content, the platforms such as YouTube, as TikTok, as Instagram, it allows us to reach wider audiences as opposed to back in the days when you have to now wait primarily for an organization, maybe like one of the biggest studios, to give us access to the world. The tools that is in front of us allows us to reach the world even faster. But again, it comes back down to the core of what I said. It's about the story. It's about the emotions that you're evoking that gets people into seeing what it is you're doing as quality content and not just noise. The next slide. So I like to say the film industry is the only industry, because I'm biased, the only industry that basically supports every single different discipline that happens in the world, from accountants to electricians, as I spoke about, to drivers, to storytellers, to designers, carpenters. The film industry supports all of those different industries. So there is something for everyone in there. It all comes down to what it is your preferences are. Um, and here, in order to get to the path to become a filmmaker, you have options. Either you can teach yourself the tools and traits of the industry like any other industry, or you can start just creating and building your own audiences online and honing in on your skills. Or if you want a more formalized setting, there are different trajectories you can go to, whether it's in the Caribbean region here or internationally. I know UE has programs both in Trinidad, Barbados, and Jamaica that you can explore and get a degree in filmmaking, and that helps you. There are other international programs, whether it's in the US or Europe, that you can explore as well to get your degree in order to do so. There is a lot of certification courses online right now that you can go and you can start saying, I want to be a director. What are some of the options that we can go and certify? You have a lot of industry, a lot of companies such as Meta, Google, that is giving you certification in different AI technologies that you can now go and take advantage of and learn how to incorporate and fuse both the technology side with the traditional side to say what it is. Um, I personally attended grad school because I wanted to get a holistic overview of the industry, and I am very grateful for that because by doing so, it allowed me to know the nuances, whether it's how to market a film, how to read a contract, and how to tell a story. So there are different ways in which you can get there. And YouTube or social media is not the only place you can do so. If you tell a story the right way, you can also market yourself through different channels like film festivals, which we have in Grenada here, that you can submit your work to and present it for your audiences that you're making it for. With that, I would like to say thank you so much for the opportunity to present and to give you a little bit of insight on the filmmaking industry here. If any of you are interested in learning more about it, you can follow us and you can always reach out to myself or my team. But the most important thing for me and exciting thing for me is how innovative storytelling can be. And it is not just very modular, but you have to go with the times and learn how you can now stay ahead of the times. And I am so excited to introduce as well later on after myself, after this presentation, we have Kareem Gilbert, who is also a creator, and he is taking it to the next level whereby he is innovating and using the tools that I spoke about to enhance the way in which he is delivering the stories and accessibility to individuals here. And I'm excited to see his presentation after. But just to summarize again, I challenge you to take a moment to really think about the type of stories that you would like the world to know about how we live here, how our culture is, how our heritage here is in Grenada, whether it's from a folklore lens, whether it's from a industrial lens, from the fishing industry, the agriculture industry, or whether it's a social impact. If you want to tell a story about gender based violence, if you want to tell a story about women rights, if you want to tell a story about just being a kid here in Grenada, I challenge you to take a moment and start framing it that way and start writing stories as opposed to just shooting without a thought behind it. So, again, my name is Mashaida Phillip. I am a filmmaker and I also provide spaces for different story makers to share their stories through the 1261 Film Festival. You can always reach us at 1261 Film Festival on all social media platforms, or my name on all social media platforms. And I look forward to seeing some of the work if any one of you are interested in becoming a filmmaker. Thank you to Grenada Cities Coalition for this opportunity to share what we do as part of the evolving film industry here in Grenada. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Mushaida, for a lovely presentation. It was very informative. At this point in time, we would ask students if they have any questions. Please put it in the chat, and Ms. Phillip can answer them for you. All right, so if there are no questions in the meantime, you can put them in and we can always have her come back and answer those questions for you. We will now move to our second presenter. Our next presenter represents one of the most transformative developments in today's world, artificial intelligence, or as you would know, AI. We are pleased to welcome Mr. Kareem Gilbert from FaceCard AI, who will be speaking on AI assisted production. AI is revolutionizing how we work, create, and solve problems across different industries. You, as students, will gain insights into how AI tools are shaping the future of production and innovation. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Kareem Gilbert.
All right, good day all. Just want to make sure that you're seeing and hearing me. All right. Thank you very much for that introduction, Tamika. Let me just send my request for my screen. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today, and just want to say good day to, of course, the students across the island. And of course, my name is Kareem Gilbert. I am a photographer, videographer, and also a tech expert with also a unique interest in artificial intelligence. I will get into my slide shortly. All right, there we go. Okay, I believe you can see now. All right, we get to my slide where you will learn all about what I do and how you also can, advance your career and your interests in creativity, being a creative, whether it be media, whether it be in design, whether it be music, and so on, and how you can get to another level at this ripe age in your career, at the start of your career in school. So I will begin. So I was once sitting where you are. This is me in the Grenada Boys Secondary School. And I understand that most of you here today is in Form 4. Very interestingly, it was at that time and that age where I discovered who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And I want you to pay very close attention to how the process was because creativity is an expression of self and it comes from you, right? So you kind of have to know yourself. So in Form 4, that was the moment when I started to realize how massive the world was. I started to see it from the lens of not just being in Grenada and not just performing well at school, but also what I'm going to use my performance at school to do, right? And so I had a keen interest for me. Some of you may be different, but for me, I had a keen interest in IT and a keen interest in visual arts, a keen interest in communication and expression. That's English A, English B. I loved to write, absolutely loved to write. So those things came together in my head and I was like, okay, what is the path I should take? Right? And I want you to think about that today. I want you to think about what you're good at innately, what you excel at, what you're known for. It's very important when we get to the end. All right. So that's a creative spark. So I realized that I was a visual thinker, so that naturally drew me into photography, videography, and graphics, right? So actually in school, and you can do the same path in school, because I liked that, I spoke to my teachers and I actually became the school photographer. So at GBSS, I was the photographer known for taking pictures at the assembly and things like that, maybe a little bit at sports, they would let me experiment with the cameras and so on. And I actually got to have hands-on practice. And then I said to myself, well, I can actually do this. I actually want more. All right. So I continued, of course, excelling at school. That's very, very important. And at the same time, on the side, I would practice what my trade was. So I want to give you an example. So, like for instance, me, I was in school and I didn't have the ability to purchase a camera at the time. So I would use a school's camera or I would probably use a family member's camera because I was only a kid. So if let's say your interest in, let's say it's in sewing, you should get close to a family member so that has a sewing machine or a sister or somebody that has the tools that you need to be able to develop separate skills, your creative skills, while you are pursuing your education as well. So that was my first skill. That curiosity led to practice, and that practice led to consistency. And the consistency over time built for me a career, right? And I'll get into that. So this was where I started. Um, I was just a young lad, and most photographers starts this way. They would take a picture of anything around them. So for me, I was home. I would take pictures around plants. As you can see, action figures, something happened in the road. I would take pictures of it, and I would get good at what I was doing. So I went through GBSS, I graduated, I pursued my interest further. I liked IT, and so I did IT in college as well. And within there, I still had my love for photography, my love for my creative thinking, and I still carried that along with me. And after I graduated TAMCC, I went to work for a little bit, and then I pursued a further education at the St. George University, where I furthered my Bachelor's of Science in IT as well. So I kept on the path that I knew I loved, and I knew that I wanted to excel and make a huge difference in, right? So I'm gonna just show you an example of, some of the works. So this is just what I liked creatively expressing. This is the beach, and I creatively colored it. It gets you into aerial photography. It gets you, of course, into photographing people. So it was from there that I'm gonna also now show you what it transformed me into and what can happen if you actually stay consistent, follow your dreams or passions, and also put in the work to become extremely well at it. And I'm going to show you as well how AI can help you get there much faster than I did. I started, I don't want to say when I graduated school, but it's been more than 10 years now. That, of course, I graduated the GBSS, and I'm going to show you where the career take me. So I began doing photography, videography, websites, and so on professionally, offering my services to a plethora of clients around the world, literally. So this is what I do today from what starting off as a photographer did. So as a photographer, I was capturing moments that tell stories like Mashida, introduced us to. And as a videographer, I was bringing narratives to life. So a photographer is a still would take out still pictures, right? And a videographer would, of course, allow you to create stories out of it. So you'd say you'll be able to direct people and tell them, okay, we were trying to demonstrate this particular motion or this particular action. I know a lot of us might have seen movies in our lives, right? And this is what videographers do. So that's another career path to be you. And I want you to think today as someone who is not just limited to being, being here, but also someone who can make an impact on the world. So if you want to be a photographer, you can tell yourself, okay, I like taking photos of animals. You can say, I could be a National Geographic photographer. If you're a videographer, you can say, I could make movies someday. And that could actually be true. And I will get to that shortly. Right. I also became a web designer. That's me intersecting my visuals with my IT. So I was able to bring people's products and services to the computer. And do note that those subjects are offered in school, and you can 10 times maximize your growth in those fields by, of course, using the tools available to you. There is the University of YouTube. There is, as we know, of course, ChatGPT, there's Cloud and so on. And we're just using these things to just find out more. We're not necessarily using them to do something destructive to your education, but you're using them to advance yourself further. And that's what I did, right? So there's creative directing, which basically gets into you being in charge of the entire set. So if you've ever seen a movie, you would see the person on the microphone. That's usually the director. They would and then the creative director in the photography field would be the person that would be able to pull together the makeup artist, pull together the stylist, pull together where the set is being shot and so on, and make sure everything comes together cohesively. Now,
Sorry, Kareem, just to cut you. I
okay.
do apologize. If you're sharing your screen, we're not able to see it.
Oh, you're not able to see my screen right
No.
now? Um, are you able to see it now?
Now we can see. Thank you so much.
I was sharing the screen. So this is the first time seeing it?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, noted. Apologies for that. I'll just run through the slide just to show you creativity innovation. This was me starting where you are. This is me getting through what creativity is expression, and for me, it was through photography, video design, and storytelling. Right, that was my first big skill. And in terms of my history, this is where I started taking pictures of, um, plants, action figures, little animals, things at home. That's what we have immediate access to. So if you're interested in anything, you would, of course, use what you have to get where you are. And then that advanced me to taking pictures and so on like this that I could easily color for myself, be able to fly drones to take bigger aerial shots, and be able to properly photograph people, right? And then, of course, this get to what I do today. Um, Starting as a photographer, I then went into videography. I became a web designer by intersecting my IT and videography and photography. Interests and IT, and then also creative director by being able to now, have a certain level of control and mastery over the skills that you learn. This comes with years. And then you become a problem solver, solving problems for people and bringing their ideas and innovations to life. And I will let you speak more on that. So this is what consistency turned into for me and what it can turn into for you. So remember, I started it with just a keen interest at the Grenada Boys Secondary School, right? Just an interest and an idea that I say I want to make a difference and I want to make impact and I want to be able to influence change in people's life, bring across their ideas because of what my skills are. So that brought me to in my field covering weddings, luxury weddings, so high-end weddings that I would travel for. Events and culture, of course. We are a very cultural nation in the Caribbean. So I would sometimes work with Pure Grenada, I would sometimes work with hotels and things like that to get their stories across. And then it also got me to work on big projects behind the scenes. So some of the big projects were the Real Housewives of Atlanta. which is, of course, a show that's previewed on international television, and Below Deck as well, which is an international franchise that came here, and I was on the set working with them to get their story across and help the team. You get to work with big brands as well. So Adidas, Nike, Puma, all those brands. As a photographer, videographer, or even a website designer, you are able to work with these companies that you see on TV because they need people like us to help them craft and shape the ideas that they have. And they sometimes do it for sales, sometimes for marketing, sometimes just for brand awareness to get people talking. And they are in huge demand and huge need for people like you and I. And you need to stand out so that you can separate yourself and be able to get, of course, the big projects. So I'm gonna get into as well what are some of the skills you need to do a bit of what I did. So IT/computer science. This is the technical field in terms of technical and creative field in terms of building websites, building projects and database systems, things like that. Business. Business is important, and I'll tell you why. Because while we can love what we do, at the end of the day, we live in a world where we, of course, need to be able to make money out of it. Else, how are we gonna, let's say, raise our family or provide for, each other and pay our bills? And that's the reality of it. And right, as you're here today, I'm going to introduce you to a few things that you could do as a business person. So at the core of business, of course, is money and sales. Um, what's important for you right now at this stage is being creating a brand or an identity around what you like or what you love. So if let's say you like football, you should be in that field. If let's say you want to be a painter or a photographer, right now your friends should know that, hey, Marcus, James, Ruby, they like photography. Talk to them about taking photos. Become that point of reference in your people's mind, whether it is in your village, in your school, that you have that identity for that. Because later on, these are the people that are going to, let's say, have the jobs in maybe marketing or wherever, and they're going to give you referrals. Grenada is a of course, a small community. So we go by word of mouth a lot. So right now, as a person, whether it is you like to make roses, make flowers, whatever the creative skill that you like, creative talent that you have, it is critical that you create an identity and you put out your post on your Instagram and social media that this is what you like to do and you do it well and you get better. This is great. So that's where the business aspect comes into it. And you try to track your expenses with certain softwares like Wave app is actually free. And you're able to track your local payments. So you could go to the bank and tell them this is what I'll be making, right? And then visual arts, of course, this came in to develop your eye for photography, for design, for visual communication is power. Every time we're on Instagram or on Facebook, we're on TikTok, and we know that what we see is videos, what we see is photos. So it's very powerful in this age to be able to bring your message across, and being into visual arts and so on helps you stand out. And then there's English, of course, for communication is everything, and you need to be able to communicate to people what you want to do. So along with that is discipline, creativity, communication, problem solving, and consistency. Okay, because this doesn't happen overnight. I'm here after like 8 years, more yeah, about 8 years officially. So creativity can take you to travel, they can take you to entertainment, to corporate, to tech, and more, right? And I want to, as I get to transition into the AI segment, I want you to think beyond. Don't limit yourself, don't limit your dreams to just your location. When I say that, because of the dawn of the internet, back in the day, I know I'm not that old, but back in the day, what people had to do to get information access, they had to go to an encyclopedia or their school book, or so on, or they would have to ask an elder. We could literally type that in right now in ChatGPT, in Claude, in Gemini, in YouTube, and literally see what we need to do to, let's say, get that result. Once we keep practicing that, we would literally be able to advance ourselves in real time, right? So you think beyond in the sense that you yourself can become a big movie producer if you want to be. You can become a big artist. You can become a big designer, anything like that, right? So don't limit yourself to just thinking what's immediately in front of you. Understand that you can make connections with people safely, of course, on different media channels, right? And able to express and show yourself and your creativity in that. So these are some of the, of course, the exposures and so on that I have. I have been able to work with some of our top artists regionally, locally, and also internationally. I've been able to earn awards and accolades for what I do and recognition, which I'm so grateful for. Here we have, of course, our international soca monarch recent winner, Mr. Blackadan. We have Dash, our previous soca monarch winner. We have Shaquan, our junior, soca monarch winner. We have Mr. Mavado. We have Prince Swani. I'm just using those as just examples of how far you could actually go. It's not just here locally that you can be. You can literally be able to access this type of networks. Once you're extremely good, you keep up your consistency, you use your skills to advance yourself. So this is the critical shift, right? So as I became a little bit more mature in my career, and you would get there too, you would, let's say you as I say, this is the example of a seamstress. You would be the person sewing for yourself, and then eventually you'll be able to hire people to sew and work on projects with you. And when you do that as well, then you might even think a little bit further. You might think about, oh, then I can maybe have another business, or maybe you found out a new style that you can sew in that other people love and adore, right? And with that, that is what you call innovation, right? You innovate in your field. And I am presently at the cusp of innovating in a massive way in my field. So it doesn't just stop there in terms of the creativity, but because once you have that mindset, remember, as I said, creativity comes from expression of self. You being authentically you being able to bring out your talents into the world, whether it be dance, fashion, what you're good at. And then comes as you be able to master that field, then comes your ability to innovate and to create unique solutions to what you experience, right? So creativity as an expression is taking what's inside of you and pulling it out. Beautiful necessarily, but limited to only you. So my company is named CG Creative, which is short for Kareem Gilbert Creative. It's limited to mainly me. I'm mainly the person that would execute my photos, mainly the person that would execute my videos, my websites and things like that, right? But as I say, we're thinking big, we're thinking global, we're thinking scale, right? That brings us to innovation now, so which is solving problems. So taking creativity and using it to solve real issues. And this is where next level value is created. So you identify pain points, you build solutions, and then you're able to create impact. And I will give you examples, a real life example, in my situation so that you're able to, connect with that. So, I invented what you call face card AI. So what was the problem? So I'm a photographer, right? And I take pictures of many events, right? I would do Soca Monarch, I would do a wedding, I would do a brunch, I would do a baby shower, right? And what would happen is that people won't get to see their photos at the event because I work for the person who hired me. So I would send them the link to all the photos. And then you, who I take pictures of, let's say if I was in your school, it's like your teacher hired me, so I'll give the photos to your teacher. And maybe you have to ask your teacher for the pictures. But you might ask me, you might try to ask your friend, and it becomes confusing. So that's the problem. And you may not get your photos. So as I thought for quite some time. And this happened over like a good um, 2 year block where I had to research and develop the idea. So the solution was if I'm able to, when people host an event, they're able to create it in an app. So it's technology, right? So they're able to create it in an app. And in that app, they're able to add their photographers. And then the event attendees sign up by taking a selfie of themselves. And then what happens is that the AI would recognize their face. And then when the photographer drag and drops the picture in to upload it, then the picture gets sent to everybody else, individually, privately, throughout the network. And then that way, of course, you could get to have your pictures, your teacher get to have your pictures. You don't need to run me down for the photos. I don't need to contact the teacher to send you the photos. That whole situation is alleviated, right? And that's just one part of the solution. But this is a way in which I am innovating in a massive way in my field, that is potentially global. And I believe that you could do it too with the right tools. And I'm going to introduce you to some of those tools today. I mean, you actually already know them, but I'm going to teach you also how to properly use them. Okay, so let's get into AI and technology. All right, so these tools amplify your potential. So, of course, we know some of those tools are ChatGPT, Gemini, Midjourney, and there's hundreds of more, literally hundreds of more. So, it's good to note that they are not replacing creativity, they are amplifying it. The creators who embrace AI will eventually outpace those who are ignoring it. So with it, we're able to learn faster, right? So within my building process, I was able to ask a lot of questions to my system. I was be able to put it in my thoughts. I would say, chat, I would communicate to chat as a person, telling it well, look, well, we ran into this issue. This is how we looking to solve it. What is the technical specs behind it? And then it would return an answer to me, and I would learn. Now, of course, this is possible in a real human way. I would have to call somebody, but the person I may have to call, maybe somebody all the way over in some big university that I may not right away have access to. So immediately you're understanding that you're able to hack your mind of thinking. So, like, let's say you're an athlete and you're trying to understand literally what is the training regimen of Usain Bolt. You can literally chat GPT that or use Gemini or that. Literally, and you're able to see certain routines, certain enhancements. Of course, do additional research. Don't just use one chatbot, but do additional research, and you're able to actually put together something unique to you and then understand what you need to do to get ahead. So let's say you and a guy run the 100-meter dash, and then this guy wondering, how come your training so different? You actually got to understand and you ask the right questions to get to another level to literally potentially outpace that individual. You understand? And this is exactly what I did to accelerate my thinking, to accelerate my growth, um, beyond where I was 2 years ago or a year ago. And you can do it too. You can also use it to create faster. So let's say you are a writer, you like writing stories. You can say something, you can help create a storyboard from it. You can say, hey, this is my idea. The big bad wolf came into the house and it blew the house down. Can you create for me just a storyboard of what that looks like? And then the right chat, in this case, we would use Gemini. So that's Google Gemini. And you say generate this shot list for me, this image script. And then you would literally see the images in illustration format, and you would get that in like 5, 10 seconds. Naturally, before you would have to draw that, right? And you're gonna be able to see that, and you are able to get inspired as well. You're gonna see that, like, hey, maybe I can write and publish a book because now I have illustrations to go along with it. And just like that, you in Form 4 into Form 5 into college, you can have a book by then, even before then. And that is the powers that we have today. Back then, in my parents' time, they would have to go write it, get it verified, get it supported by a publisher, and so much more steps. But you and me can literally talk to this today and potentially have something published by the end of the week. And that is extremely advantageous, extremely powerful. So you're not using it for cheating. You're not using it to skip learning. Don't let it do your thinking, but you're using it to accelerate your learning and to enhance your processes and your creativity and solve big problems for you. And that would be a huge advantage to you. So you're using it to think bigger because now you can literally access, let's say, the regimen of somebody like Usain Bolt. You're able to literally publish a book within a week. You're literally able to maybe even Google how to become a better photographer, a better videographer, a better script writer. Not Google, sorry, but Gemini now. So Gemini replaces Google search because Gemini is the brain, right? And then there's other imaging models. An imaging model is a model that's specifically for generating images. There is one you could probably write it down, Nano Banana Pro. That's still from Gemini. And then there's also Midjourney as well. So they generate images really great. You can get cartoons, you can literally get anime, you can get all those type of features from it. And you can use it for your advantage in a big way, right? So ideas come to you for a reason, right? I want to touch on that. Ideas come to you for a reason as a person, as a creative, because we are what you call, like, let's say, a conduit to expression, right? And then when that idea hits you, do note it's a competitive world out there. It's going to hit other people, right? Understand that God speaks to all of us, right? Whether you yeah, okay? And when an idea comes to you, as a person, it's up to you to act on it. Because I'm sure many of you have seen situations where you have an idea and maybe 2 days or a month down the line, you see somebody with it or you see somebody execute it. And you're like, oh, they thief my idea. No, ideas come to all of us. Trust me, right? But it's up to you to use that power and that advantage that I spoke to you about today to generate uniqueness and value into this world. And that's where creativity comes from. That's where creativity gives us the edge, right? You're able to put two things together and able to make something purely special out of it, right? So I want you to take an honest look at your daily routine. What are you doing with your 24 hours? Are you scrolling or are you creating? There was a point in time in my life where when Facebook was big, I'm that old, but when Facebook was big, um, I would go, I would not go on my Facebook feed. I would only focus on my profile, stay within my profile, and I would write my post within my profile, and then I would exit. Why? Because seeing other people's feed or other people's posts and so on would distract me and it would throw me off, and then it would make me start to feel anxious and nervous about what I'm doing, because then it would make me basically submit to what everybody else is doing society-wise and thinking that my original stuff would not be accepted, it would not be praised and things like that. So I want you, when you're in that zone, you have a brilliant idea, a brilliant thought, or a brilliant way to execute something, to avoid being on your personal, on your feed itself. Stay within your profile and just create there uniquely. Just try to do that for like a week, right? Ask yourself, are you consuming? Are you just, or are you building something, right? Are you wasting time or are you investing time in you? Because, as I said, these things don't happen immediately overnight. It comes from repetitively you doing this, and then eventually the results come. You being able to travel, you being able to have a good career, being able to get recognized for what you do, all these things are available to you with these advantages. But you need to invest in yourself, invest in your studies, invest in what you're doing, and invest in your talent. So you need to act on your ideas. So I want to tell you that your gift is your responsibility, and in next up, I want you to also, of course, discover your potential. So with these three questions, ask yourself, what do I enjoy doing naturally? Right? Not what you're told to do, not pays you well, but what do you actually love? And what makes you lose what do you get into and makes you lose track of time when you're doing it because it's just so good, right? So think about that for a second and let it sink in. If money didn't matter, what would you pursue? Remove the pressure of income. What would you do every day if finances weren't a concern? And that may be a true passion. And who wants to travel because of their career? Your skills can take you places, literally. The world needs creative problem solvers everywhere. And just for a second in your classroom, I do want you to turn to someone next to you and just tell them one thing that you're good at. So just take a 5 seconds, the 10 seconds, or 15 seconds. Just turn to the person next to you, whisper or tell them one thing that you're good at. All right? Give you a few seconds to do that. And then within that exercise, at least that person, gets to know, oh, this is what you're interested in. Okay, nice. I see you. You understand? And I want I will of course take the questions, but I want to also close by telling you that you can dream it, you can build it, and you can stay disciplined if you stay disciplined. The future isn't coming, it's literally already here. You have AI available to you. You have the internet. You have YouTube. You have Google. You have ChatGPT. You have everything available to you. We can literally become who we want to be. We can literally spend the extra time. Most of us have access to phones, access to computers. We can literally generate books. We can generate new content. We can generate new ways of doing things. You can literally be the next big thing. I always look to Mr. Kirani James and what he achieved as an athlete. And I always say, in my field, I would love to be a Kirani James of my field. And I think it's very important that you see yourself in that way so you can always push through the hurdles because there will be hurdles. And you can always talk, to your teachers and to an adult and so on. And also, to your chatbots in these days about it and get through to it so you can come to the next level. So the future is already here. And the question is, will you step into it? I thank you. I'll take questions or so if you have them in the chat or anything like that. And things like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gilbert, for a lovely presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Questions from students. We do have a question in the chat.
Okay.
The question, is it possible to create a cinematic universe like Marvel? Is it possible to create a cinematic universe like Marvel?
Yes, I actually love that question because here's why, and here's how I would go about doing it. So if I because I'm focused on face color right now, but you have the time, so I'm gonna challenge you. So actually, in our culture and in our Black culture and our space, we have many characters, many folklore stories, many beliefs and things like that. And you can literally use those stories to create your universe. So for instance, we know of the Laja Bless, the Mama Lady, the mermaids, and all those things are that very, situation to the island, right? You can literally start like this. I'm sure you've scrolled on TikTok and you've seen little short stories like 30 seconds where people would show pictures, they would talk behind it, and they would have little text on the screen or the narrator would read the text, and then you would feel to see the next part of the story. Just like that, you're creating your little universe and you're going to get traction. So I would start by going to Gemini and I would say, hey, Gemini, I'm from the Caribbean and I'm very interested in creating something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, My unique spin on it is that I want for my characters to be Caribbean based and based around Caribbean stories, and this is what I want to happen. You're doing that, and then you guys could actually help build, they could actually help you build the story together on an international level. And after you build it, you ask the same Gemini, can you generate for me images of my characters? You would literally see what your character may look like, right? And then you can tweak it, you can change things and so on. So you have let's say the mama lady is a brother of the Laja Bless, the sister, sorry. You could literally, that's your creativity. You get to put it together how you want, and you get to put real characters in it. For instance, I had a idea in my head, like to say, okay, we think the Laja Bless is evil, but what if she was a woman who got her heart broken young and she was real? And then afterwards she fall into some well, and somebody who tell her that they will take her pain away if she just, make a wish or something like that. And they tricked her. And when she wished, they transform her into some deity who is hunting men in the evening. You understand? That right there is your is a part of your universe. That's a part of your story. So yes, you have the writing, you have the photo tools, and you can literally tell Gemini or ChatGPT, how can I publish this myself? And you will get an answer. I promise you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gilbert, for that informative and forward-looking presentation, as well as answering the student's question.
Thank you.
Okay, so once again, thank you so much, Mr. Gilbert.
My pleasure. All right. You guys have a good day. Thank you.
So students, you see, you can seek careers in film production or invest in the creative sector or even artificial intelligence, also known as AI. These are really, really good career paths that you can choose to go into. At this point in time, we will now take a short break of 15 minutes. And for this short break, we're going to share a short film with you. This film is directed by a British Grenadian filmmaker, Kibwe Taveras. Thank you so much.
Power failure.
Should be out the wings, got 30 seconds.
Decommission unit. Power failure. Decommission unit.
Baz, where's the machine? Baz, answer me. Where's the machine? Machine out. Doesn't matter what condition it's in. Bring the machine out right now. Now.
Power failure. Decommission unit. Unit reset. Starting boot up sequence. 12 hours life remaining.
You say that you're fearful, I say that we're into something good. So tell me what's good.
Shooting stairs like a gun. I am in, how the thing just a done. I am in, corroded by the rush. I am in, I can taste the metal in my blood.
Yes, we're still standing.
Battery unstable.
Stop in the way. Get her off the stage. Pull her out. Pull her out. Take her out. Get her off. Someone get her off. Where are you? Get out. Stop it. Stop.
Battery unstable. 1 hour life remaining.
Shoot his arrows like a gun. I am in, how the thing just a done. I am in, corroded by the rush. I am in, I can taste the metal in my blood. It's a deal that we made in blood, and it's written on your skin. It's a deal that we made in blood, and it's written on your skin.
And we're still standing. Yes, we're still standing. Walls will turn to dust, but you can't bury our scars, 'cause you're still standing. Inside the sanctuary of my skin. No earthquake could shake me. I turn the light dim. I see tales of my ancestors running through my veins. sanctuary of my skin. There's a temple.
We have 4 minutes left, and we will resume 4 minutes.
Hi, morning. Are you seeing and hearing me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Are you
Good morning.
seeing the presentation?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And let me make sure if I move it. Are you seeing it moving?
Yes.
Awesome.
Clearly. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, okay, everyone. Good morning again. We are back. All right, so we want to thank everyone for staying with us. Our next presenter presentation focuses on a field that plays a crucial role in every successful business, marketing. We are pleased to welcome Ms. Chrislyn Lashington from Lashington Agency, who will share insights into the world of marketing and brand development. Marketing combines creativity, strategy, and communication to connect businesses within their audiences. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Chrislyn Lashington.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And good morning to you. Thank you for joining us for this career day. I think it's really exciting to think about all the options that lay ahead. And trust me, the options are many. And you'll see at the end of this presentation that you don't have to box yourself in. And that is definitely the story that I am going to share with you today from my experience with my career. So, this is turning what you love into a career because I firmly believe that passion and purpose drives a lot of what I do. And hopefully for you, it might be the same. So if I think back to my time in Form 4, I went to St. Joseph's Convent, St. George's, and at that time I was very focused on being a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor, specifically a pediatrician. And that meant that by then my subjects were chosen. I knew I was doing physics, chemistry. I did some, Spanish, French, English, maths, the whole lot. But they were very focused on being a doctor. And one of the subjects I really wanted to do in Form 4 was principles of business, but never got to do it because it clashed with biology. And at the time, biology was, of course, one of the most important subjects to do if I were to become a doctor. So I carried on. So I was very focused in school. And while I was very focused on the academics, I was also dancing, playing steel pan, being involved with drama and debating in my school. So I have an extensive background that I formed outside of school for the most part. Primary school was very important in laying the foundation for these art forms, but they were extracurricular activities. But what I would show is how these extracurricular activities ended up being the basis for what I mainly do today for a living. So I know, so some of the things I did, just to let you know the scale at which I was doing it at in school, I traveled to New York while in Form 3 and Form 4 to perform at the Brooklyn Museum. So that's a big venue. We were representing Grenada. That's one of the things. While in Form 3, I traveled to Trinidad with my steel pan group. We played with New Dimension at the time, and we went to compete on the world stage for the World Steel Band competition. So the extracurricular activities were very large. We went hard. We weren't just, doing it a few days a week, but it also set the stage for me to travel and experience new things. So moving ahead, from secondary school, I went to T.A. Marshall Community College and also to SGU, where I completed my bachelor's degree in biomedical sciences or life sciences, and then went on to do my master's. This is actually a photo of me here with, getting my certificate at the ceremony for my master's in public health. So while I was very focused on becoming a doctor, the plan changed along the way. In university, we were doing health fairs across the country as part of our community service. And we also had labs. And what labs meant is that we went to the anatomy lab and we were dealing with cadavers. For those of you who don't know what cadavers are, these are bodies of people who have died, and we're able to observe their organs for learning. So this is something that happens. It's a very pungent smell in the anatomy lab, but it is very important to becoming a doctor. And while doing these health fairs and these labs, while I was doing well, I realized that the actual aspects of being a doctor were not as appealing to me as I thought it was. It sounded good, I was good, but these aspects didn't align with me fully. And I started to realize that there are other careers in health outside of just being a medical doctor or even being a nurse. When we're thinking about careers in health, it can range from, of course, having a medical degree, but also some doctors lecture at universities. Some doctors are in administrative roles in our Ministry of Health. For instance, our chief medical officer is actually a doctor. One of the top administrators at the hospital is also a doctor. We have technical roles in medicine. So there are technicians, for instance, if you're, running an MRI scan, there's technicians that go into that. And there are also roles for technology, other technological roles in there as well. Medical assistants, people who are specialized in phlebotomy with blood. So there's so many careers in health that can still allow you to pursue health outside of just being a medical doctor. So if health is something that appeals to you, I would say look beyond the scope of what you know and what's around us because there are so many careers in even just one sector. And we have AI now. I'm sure that would help if you do a nice search in your favorite AI engine. So here's what I do now. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Lashington Agency. It is a marketing, communications, and entertainment agency. We're based in Grenada, but we do serve the Caribbean and the Caribbean diaspora in expanding visibility for government agencies and nonprofit organizations mainly. But the most important thing for us at Lashington Agency is that we are having positive community impact. That means we are working with entities who are making a change in community. So, for instance, some of the people we've worked for in the past will include the government of Grenada. In fact, there is a project now, maybe many of you have heard about the groundbreaking ceremony for the new general hospital that's taking place tomorrow, Friday in Calavini. That is actually one of the projects that Lashington Agency is working on. We've also done work for the G Cruise project, and this is a project that focuses on water conservation. So while these projects are very vast, include marketing and communications, they are still having a positive impact in community. And that's something that's very, very important to me. Now, some of the careers at Lashington Agency, outside of being the CEO and founder, graphic designers are in high demand. Now, a graphic designer would be the one who would create the logos for various brands. They'll create designs for billboards, for booklets, for calendars. Almost anything that you see around you involves a graphic designer. And I can tell you that is a highly paid job. Another highly paid job in the agency is videographer and photographer. For every event, we live in the age where we document everything digitally. I am deploying my videographer or photographer on scene, and this also includes content for social media. So, social media management is something as well. Copywriting is another big role at the agency. And when we say copywriting, that means you are writing copy. And what we say for copy is basically the text you will see on a website or the text you will see in the caption on social media. And it might be the copy that's in an advertisement for radio. So we create that as well. In terms of some of our products, when we're doing radio and video ads, a video ad will entail not just the copywriter or the script writer, in this case, the videographer, of course. We may need a costume designer. We'll need somebody for logistics for the video. We'll need somebody to hire talent, so talent manager. So there's a range of positions, and of course, the creative director. And this is the person that oversees the entire vision, ensuring that we are achieving the vision for our clients and also translating that visually, sonically in the final product. And that's one of my favorite things to do. So I will show you now. I'm not sure if you will hear it. Hopefully you are.
So ain't vibe not 45. Brushing your teeth, use a cup of water. Don't leave the top open, this better. When you want a bill, get too high. Said the water are falling from the sky. Hey, up to the barrel. Pull up on the barrel. Pull up on the barrel.
Okay, so that was the behind the scenes of a campaign we did for the G Cruise project. And this project, this campaign, we created an entire song. It was just a jingle. It turned into an entire song featuring the PBC choir, as well as some of our top songwriters and performers in Grenada. We had Pinky Fabulous, Lil Natty and Thunder, and we had Andrew Hitz Phillip, who actually wrote the jingle and developed the song. So, you know, this is us producing not just a song, but also visuals to go along with it. So one thing I can say, and you'll see with me, is that it is possible to do multiple things. If I didn't, if I wasn't as involved in the creative arts growing up as a child, I may not have been able to run a marketing agency that involves so many things. If I wasn't, going up in church and reading the readings every Sunday, well, not every Sunday, but whenever your name call for it. But if I wasn't involved on stage as a child and did radio and TV, all those things is what contributed to this significant role that I play now at Lashington Agency. So what I would say is there are multiple skill sets that you may have, and some people, it could be one, it could be multiple. Whatever number, I do believe that everyone has something they're good at. You may know it already, but you may find out by exploring various things. Some people may say focus on one thing. You have to know your brain. If your brain is one that can focus on one thing and that's what it has to be, that's fine. If you are able to do multiple things and develop multiple skill sets, that is also fine. So, some of the things that I've done is event management. So, outside of just running a marketing agency, and what I should back up a bit and also say that for marketing, some of the career path you may want to choose if you were looking to study marketing, if you're looking for a degree in marketing, you can actually do a bachelor's degree in marketing. You could do a degree in communications as well. And there are various iterations of this that you will see when you're browsing colleges or universities to go to. Another path you can go if you're into writing, you can focus on English or creative writing as a career path, and that can be good as well. If you're very much into the practical, shooting and you're interested in that, there are actually courses available in photography, in videography, and also in graphic design. And I'll come back to graphic design again because most graphic designers, if not all, that I'm aware of in Grenada, have not done a formal degree. Same for our videographers, same for our photographers. Now, this is not a bad thing because I am largely self-taught in my area and largely it's based on experience. But I've also sought to have some sort of academic backing and I constantly improve my skill sets. I constantly study to ensure that I'm staying up to the time. But imagine if at your age in Form 4, in secondary school now, you decide that you want to become a graphic designer, for example, and you choose a study path along there, plus you have the skill set. Imagine how much further you will be when you go that route. So if you're interested in it, it doesn't hurt to keep practicing, keep teaching yourself, reaching out to potential mentors, but also finding the academic route to excellence in your field. So here it is again. I'm not sure if you're hearing the music, but this is a look at one of the events I did, which is called Love Fest. If somebody can let me know in the chat if you're hearing the music, then I'll know how to adjust.
You probably hate there. I thought I'd be home sooner. I knew you'd be fine. I went to work, I went to pray, I went to set a place for you. I learned to grow, communicate, lead a better way for you. Perfect me, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. It's good enough.
So this is one event that I recently produced for Valentine's Day. It's always going to be the Saturday near to Valentine's Day, and it's called Love Fest. It's a festival that people can enjoy, as you see, music, we have food, experiences that really bring things together. Now, when it comes to events, you can actually pursue a career in event management. So, if you're studying, there are event management courses that are available. The University of the West Indies does host a course ever so often. Sometimes it's twice per year. The St. George's University possibly has an events management course as well. I know it used to. I'm not sure if it still exists, but it's usually within the tourism and hospitality program. Now, with events, events are vast in the types of people that are involved and skill sets that are involved. Events attract almost everybody. So just on stage alone, you have the performer. So if you're good at singing, dancing, whatever it is, you can actually be an entertainer. If you're a musician, you can be great in one of the live bands or start a band of your own. On stage, we also have sound engineers, really important to refining the sound and making sure that everything sounds crisp and great, balanced. We also have the designers who, who's gonna, the decor people who will be, doing that. If you have a screen on stage, you need a technician for the screen. There's also someone to create the visuals for the screen. So that's just thinking of the stage alone, but we do have other roles throughout the event. And maybe in the question and answer segment, we can dive in a little bit more if it's something you're interested in. This other event I'll show you quickly is one we did for the government of Grenada, as we celebrated our 50th anniversary of independence, Pan 50 and Food Fest on the Carnage.
Really and truly, can find the words to describe what my country mean to me. So much things we take for granted, but so much things they give to me. Me son, tranquility, family, community. You know what I'm going on, just know that I'm so son. Look, that's how we've grown, how far we've run. You be as we strong and more to come. Oh, to come.
we're blessed with fortune and fire. Still we did for more.
I must confess, this is probably one of my favorite events that I have produced because it goes back to the fact that I am actually a pan player. So, not just being an event manager, but the fact that I'm a pan player meant that I understood how to tailor an event for pan, not just for the players themselves, but for the audience as well. With this event, we actually had 4 stages for pan across the Carnage. So people were able to go to move along, experience food, as well as enjoy sweet pan music. And I thought that this was just a magnificent celebration to close off our 50th anniversary celebrations in February. So again, with this, loads of different roles. We can talk about it more if you're interested in this. Now, other things that I do, I've also hosted and created my own TV show. The first TV show I created was Dan Dan TV show. For those of you not familiar with the phrase, the word Dan Dan, Dan Dan is actually a Creole word that means your Sunday best. So if you're looking fresh from head to toe, you dress up in your Dan Dan. That's the idea. So we created a show that is about fashion in Grenada and we celebrated that. And you can actually still see the videos on YouTube if you search Dan Dan TV show. I also hosted Daybreak Grenada almost more than 10 years ago, and that was a morning show on the Grenada Broadcasting Network, GBN. And one of the latest shows I've produced is Upstage TV show. And this was birthed during the pandemic when we were on lockdown. It was announced there was no carnival and we had to find something to do. So this show was created to not just give artists a platform to perform and share a bit more about themselves, but also to entertain the people who were stuck at home in Grenada and in the Caribbean diaspora, because we know that it was a really difficult time for a lot of us. So this also demonstrates how culture can be used to promote some sort of positive change in community and also to bring comfort, which in itself is a form of healing and wellness. Something I should note here before we move forward is the fact that sometimes in your career, when you graduate, you may be waiting for a job. What I did throughout my career is actually create jobs myself. I didn't wait to get onto a TV. I created my own TV show. And what came with that is that people saw the skill sets that I had, and they're now able to hire me for some of these things. So sometimes we have to be a bit proactive in our journey. Other shows I've also hosted is I've done the news for GBN TV. I think I was on the news a few weeks ago. They called me in because I guess someone wasn't available. So sometimes I do read the news on GBN. And I've also hosted radio shows on Power FM before, as well as GBN's K105 FM. So again, do you see how all these skill sets I was doing from my extracurricular activities formed what I'm doing now in my career? And what I should say is with doing multiple things, if it's something that suits you, you do then have multiple streams of income. This video here shows Jab and Shape, another brand under our umbrella. It is a dance fitness program that celebrates Afro-Caribbean music and movement. So even though I didn't become a doctor, I'm still actively doing classes on a weekly basis, Tuesdays in town. encouraging people to be fit and healthy. And this, of course, is based on my dance background from since 5 years old. Now, something very amazing that happened, and I call it a form of recognition. One of the dance forms that I do and create for people is the traditional ballet dance. Now, this dance is one that we inherited in Grenada from our tragic past and pre-emancipation, and it involves movements from Africa as well as Europe. So we have a merging of cultures here in this dance. I teach people this dance, I do it at schools, and this video we did for the Grenada Tourism Authority during the pandemic. And one thing I said was, I don't have or can't find photos of me when I was a child because, of course, we didn't have cameras the way everyone has a camera in their hand. And I said, can you take some photos of me one time? This photo from this shoot that we just said, I want a photo of myself. This photo ended up on the $50 bill. So the $50 bill that you have, if you look on it closely, you'll actually see a photo of me right here. This is the same picture, just inverted horizontally. This photo ended up there. And I think the photo's placement there not only represents the youth, but it also represents our culture, our heritage. And this is something when you find something you're passionate about and you have some sort of purpose, you will find these types of recognitions or these types of rewards in your career. Now, before I wrap, I want to help because I know I spoke about a lot and loads of different topics because I'm multifaceted. I want to guide you on how you may be able to turn something you're passionate about into a career. So, ask yourself these three questions. If you're able to take notes, certainly take notes. What are you good at? You must be good at something, right? Now, you might be good at singing, you might be good at sewing, you might be good at writing, you might be very logical, great in making decisions. All these things you're good at, no matter how minor it may seem, there is a career path for it. And another thing on not boxing yourself in, we do live in a country that is relatively small compared to the rest of the world. So when you're thinking about what you can do, don't think, oh, this is just for Grenada. You can think globally, reach beyond our shores, and just expand your mind into what is possible. Second question to ask yourself, what do I enjoy? Do I enjoy reading? Do I enjoy playing video games? Because even that is a career these days. What do I enjoy? Is it football? Right? And, even with reading, for example, I know a lot of people who are avid readers who've become script writers for films or for TV shows or actors, so the world is your oyster. And the third question I will ask you, what do people come to you for? Do they come to you for advice? Do they come to you to fix something really quickly? Do they come to you for fixing something in your car or plumbing in your house? Think about those things as you go throughout Form 4, Form 5, and really ask yourself these questions ever so often in your life because things can change. It's absolutely okay to pivot, and it's absolutely okay to find something you're good at, you enjoy, and turn that into your career. Here are three things I'd love for you to remember. One, pay attention to your strengths. Everybody has one. I don't want you to say, I should say, I never would like to hear you say, I'm not good at anything. Everybody is good at something. Everyone has a God-given talent, and you have to find what yours is. Secondly, try things to see what you like. you may not be very sure on whether you like something right now. But there's only one way to find out. You have to try it. You have to put yourself in a position to explore it. I've never played tennis, but I've always thought I'll be good at tennis. So while I went to Jamaica last year, and I actually just came back from Jamaica a few weeks ago, I was a speaker on the Island Music Conference. While there, I noticed they were teaching people tennis on at the hotel. So I took tennis lessons and I went to tennis lessons while in Jamaica for a week. And I absolutely enjoyed it and I will continue. But I wouldn't have known if I didn't try. And finally, don't box yourself in. The world is your oyster, and I'd love for you to expand and see what's available. We all have phones, internet access, whether through home or school, and we can start searching for those things we're interested in and really look beyond the shores of Grenada. And I'd love for everybody to say this out loud. I can do anything I set my mind to. Let me hear you on three. One, two, three. I can do anything I set my mind to. Thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here, and of course, I am Crystalline Lashington from Lashington Agency. You can always check us out on Instagram, and we do have a website, lashington.agency.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lashington, for a riveting presentation. As it stands for questions, there aren't any questions currently. If there are at a later time, we will surely call you back to respond to those questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And of course, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, it's msy.chrissy and lashington.agency. I'll be happy to connect with you and love to hear your feedback from today's session. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lashington. So students, we have seen career paths in film production, in artificial intelligence, and now marketing. All right. Now we're going to hear from our final presenter for the day, who will highlight a profession that blends art, engineering, and innovation. We are pleased to welcome Mr. Trevor Hamilton of IK Architecture, who will be speaking on the field of architecture. Architecture plays a vital role in shaping the spaces where we live, work, and interact. Mr. Hamilton will provide valuable insights into the skills training and opportunities available within this profession. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Trevor Hamilton.
Hello, good day, everyone. I'm hoping that I can be.
We can hear you clearly.
All right, great.
And we can see your screen as well.
Okay, great. Good day, everyone. My name is Trevor Hamilton, and I'm a senior project architect at IK Architecture. Today, my presentation is entitled From Ideas to Reality, What It Means to Build the World Around Us. This presentation will introduce you to the field of architecture, what it is, why it matters, and how architecture shapes the built environment. It explains the difference between building types, the architect's role and responsibilities, and the full process of taking a project from an initial idea to construction. It also highlights the key subjects and skills students should develop if they are interested in becoming architects, as well as the local and international opportunities available within the profession. What is architecture? Architecture is the process of designing buildings and spaces that people use every day. Architecture combines creativity, problem solving, and technical knowledge to turn ideas into real structures. What is an architect? An architect is someone who plans, designs, and oversees the construction of a building. Architects work with clients, engineers, contractors, and designers to bring a project from conception to construction. Types of buildings. In architecture, we have about 8 classifications of buildings. They are as follows. First, we have residential architecture. This focuses on places where people live, such as houses, apartments, condominiums, townhouses. We have commercial architecture. This focuses on business and commerce buildings, such as offices, banks, retail stores, shopping malls, and hotels. We have institutional architecture. This focuses on buildings that serve the public needs, such as schools, universities, hospitals, libraries, and government buildings. We have cultural and recreational architecture. This spaces focuses on culture, art, and leisure, such as museums, theaters, stadiums, community centers, and places of worship. We have industrial architecture. This focuses on buildings which serve for production and manufacturing, such as factories, warehouses, power plants, and processing facilities. We have hospitality and tourism architecture. This focuses on spaces which support tourism and entertainment, such as resorts, bars, restaurants, and event venues. We have transportation architecture. This focuses on buildings which that move people and goods around, such as our airports, bus terminals, ferry terminals, train stations, and parking structures. And lastly, we have landscape and urban design. This focuses on outdoor and city-scale spaces, such as parks, plazas, waterfronts, streetscapes, and also playgrounds. The process. In this section, we'll cover what it takes to get us from an idea to reality. For this explanation, I'm going to use a residential building as our example. Step 1, we usually start with the brief. This starts with the client's ideas or problems and ends with the development of a design concept. You have to listen to the client. What are the spaces that they want? What is the architectural style that they want? Usually clients share this information with us in the form of images, sketches, or by just sitting down and having a discussion. This ultimately becomes our brief. Step 2, site analysis. Site analysis involves locating our site. This informs design. Site location informs us on the environmental condition, existing amenities, as well as the views from our site. Once we have located these features, then we can map them out. As you can see from this example, we have our restaurant, which is in proximity of the site, as well as a marina. We have our views from the site, which is a satellite island off the coast. And we have a beach, which is also considered a valuable amenity in this case. Building placement. When placing a building, there are several things we need to take into account. Firstly, our boundary. As you can see here, our boundary is indicated in the black line. This is the limit of our site. Secondly, we have our access point. Our access point here is indicated in the orange line right here. This tells us, this information provides us with how do we connect to a site. And third, we have regulations, which are rules placed by the governing body for a particular area. In this situation, what I have are 10 feet setbacks to each of the sides and a 20-foot setback from the front. This will be our buildable area. This will become our buildable area for our building. Next, topography. This is the slope of the land. On the left, what you see is a plan view of our site, and a plan view is basically a horizontal perspective of our site. And on the right, what we have is a section. A section view is a vertical point of view of our site. We must also take into account the sun path. Sun path is important to reduce the heating of our building. Based on where our west is, we know how to orient our building to reduce the heat intake of a building. That is essential for reducing cooling costs of mechanical systems such as AC, excessive fans, and so on. Wind direction. This is also important. In some situations, we may want to capture the wind in order to reduce cooling using cross ventilation, or in cases of sites which are vulnerable to hurricanes, we may want to reduce the effect of wind on the building. What I have here is a building which has been placed within the limits, within our regulation, taking topography into account, also taking sun path and wind direction into account. On the left, what we have is the site plan. We have our driveway, the location of our parking, as well as our building. And here we have a section. The light blue lines indicate our cross ventilation, how we capture the winds and channel it through the building. The dark blue line will indicate our views from our building, whereas we have the green line indicating the amount of backfilling and this red line indicating the amount of excavation. This becomes important when trying to reduce the cost of building. We've also added greenery because we want to, this structure in particular, we want to have some sort of connection to the exterior, to the environment. So that's important there. This other red line is our setback, meaning that we can't build our building anywhere close to this line. Sorry, yep. The next is research, step 3. Research is important to dive deeper into the styles that the client likes, but it's also important for you to reflect on your preferences as an architect. Ultimately, what you want to do is provide the client with what they want, but you also have to have your own sense of creativity and integrate what they want with your sense of creativity. So it's always necessary to do as much research as possible before you start a project. Step 4 is design. Design involves creating drawings, 3D models, and visualizations to show how the building will look. We usually start this process with a bubble diagram. A bubble diagram is like a sketch of where your spaces will be located within your building. Usually you start with your entrance, and what this bubble diagram shows is that our entrance is connected to our bedroom, and it's also connected, to our living room area. But then we still want the living room area to be connected to the bedroom and the bedroom to be connected to a bathroom. We'll also like that living room area to be connected to a veranda as well as a kitchen. There may be additional connections. For instance, in this situation, we can see that the living room is not connected to a bathroom. With that, you may want to add an extra line indicating the position, the addition of a bathroom to that bubble diagram. We then move on to floor plans. Right here, what I have is a ground floor plan. And usually when we separate floor plans, we separate it into, with regards to a residential structure, we separate it into 2 groups, public space as well as private space. What we consider public space in architecture is everywhere that you're okay with your guests visiting. So here we have spaces such as your kitchen, your dining room, your living room. We have our main entrance, we walk down the corridor, and that is connected to all our public spaces. We also have these spaces connected to our outdoor lounge, pool deck, and pool area. On the side here, we have our first set of private spaces. Although our powder room will cater to all public spaces, the home office is considered a private space. Then we have stairs taking us to the next floor. This area is generally considered private space. So everything such as your primary bedroom, guest bedrooms, all of these will be ensuite, walk-in closet, all of these will be considered your private space. What we have going on here is a backyard courtyard, which would be considered a public space. Now, with a situation like that, what we did is that we created a bathroom which could serve for this bedroom here, which does not have a bathroom, but also serve to users or guests of the backyard space. And by placing the bathroom on the outside, it prevents your public or your guests from entering your private space, which is your bedroom. So controlling the use and the movement of people within the space is very important when designing a plan. Right here, what we have are our renderings. So this is a perspective from above our building. As you can see, we have the Calavini Island in the distance here, and we have the Woburn Bay, which is also considered a feature of our site. This is a view from the side access of the site. When we do renderings, it's important to show the building from every angle. That's important so that your client can have a full understanding of everything that the structure entails. So here we have a front view where they can have an idea of what my building would look like when people are approaching it from the roadside. Also, it lets them know the amount of privacy that they will have from inside of their building. We have another side view here showing the balcony and pool area. It also shows the upper level area, which is heavily vegetated in order to form some sort of privacy for the users. Because as we discussed earlier, we have our private bedrooms at the top here. This is our backyard space, which is also considered a public space. This is our lower deck, which is also considered our public space. We have our deck connected to our pool. And we also have kitchen and living room area. This is a private balcony, which is outside of our bedrooms. As I said before, we chose to put a lot of vegetation around the balcony in order to create some sort of private space there. This is our living room space. Sometimes you don't always go into the interior design, but if the client requests it, then we will go into it. This is the living room space. This is a bedroom, and this is our backyard space. Step 5, prepare construction drawings. Architects are equipped to design. So basically, this is the phase where you coordinate with engineers and specialists to make sure that the design is safe and functional. Usually, architects are equipped to handle basic lighting, plumbing, sewage, and electrical plans. But for specialized or more complex structures, you may have to go to a plumbing engineer, an electrical engineer, who would have more innovative approaches of fitting in all this equipment and all this machinery into the building. You also have to prepare technical drawings used for construction. Now that basically is when we move from consumption, we saw earlier that we had our floor plans, and our floor plans, we saw black walls. But when you move to the construction phase, it's time for you to detail how that wall will be assembled. In a situation where, let's say I'm trying to reduce the amount of heat that my building takes, I will have to show the configuration of the insulation in that wall, as well as the attachment for any paneling that I'm using to reduce the heat on that building. So that is what detailed drawings usually entail. It involves us breaking down each element from floor to slab to wall in order to show how it should be assembled. Step 6, oversee construction. We visit the site to ensure that a building is being built according to design. Now, usually it's important for you to visit the site at every phase, at least weekly. That way you can ensure that nothing is being done incorrectly, because that will affect what the final product looks like. And we want the final product to look as close as possible or even exact to the renderings that we created. So site visits are key to that. You may sometimes have to modify your drawings or modify the structure, and that's usually because of unforeseen problems. Next, the tools you need. Here I'll go into the subjects that you should focus on at your level in order to become an architect. Firstly, mathematics. Obviously, measurements, geometry, problem solving, all of these are key to becoming an architect. Art and design. That can even be in the form of technical drawing or visual arts. It's good to help you with your sketching ability, your creativity, as well as your spatial thinking. Physics, understanding how your building stands up. Sometimes, even though as an architect we do consult with engineers, you as an architect need to have some idea of what is going on as well. Else, someone will give you something, and if you have no clue of what they give you, you just accept it for what it is. But you need to understand how structures work so you can question your engineer and be like, can we figure out a better way? Or maybe we should try this. IT and computer science. Architecture has transitioned over the last few years from just being by hand and paper to completely computer-based. You need to be familiar with computers in order to use what we call CAD software, which is generally for drawing in 2D. BIM software, which is building information modeling. Building information modeling is one of the most innovative parts of architecture right now, because we can now fit in all our elements into 3D and see how they fit into the building, checking for collisions, errors, and all sorts of things. And 3D modeling, all that comes under BIM. History. History is very important to architecture. It helps the architects to design with context, meaning, and cultural awareness. Sometimes one of the key foundations of architecture to me is identity. And identity is relative to culture and history. You need to know the beliefs of the place. For instance, if I'm building something in a place like an Arabic country, the rules for the floor plan is not the same as, let's say, we're building here in the Caribbean. The rules for the floor plan will sometimes be dictated by religion and not just what the client likes. So it's important to have a sense of history and understand the history behind what you're building. Skills needed to succeed. Here we have a few main skills you should work on developing and some examples of activities you can practice to help you develop these skills. Now, under every title, I have about 10 skills that you should pick up, but that doesn't mean that you should learn to do everything there. I think the point of this list is just so that you can select something that appeals to you and try it. Each one of them will contribute to you mastering the general category. Firstly, we have creativity and imagination. You should learn to draw, and not just to be good at art. When you learn to draw without limitations of whether the art is good, it changes how you approach things. It changes, you may have a different perspective of how art should be. So what someone might consider as a great drawing might just be a different perspective from your point of view. Next, we have critical thinking and problem solving. Learn to observe and not just look. Now, there's a difference between observing and looking. When you observe, you understand how something should function, how one part complements the other. Whereas when you look at something, you're just looking at it for what it is. So when you look at a structure or you look at something, try to look deeper into it and understand how it functions, because that is a key part to becoming an architect. Our job is not just to look at a building aesthetically, but also to understand what are the elements that make this building what it is. How does this building function? How does all these different elements combine to make this work of art? Attention to detail. Train your eyes to notice more. With architecture, it's good to, sketching might be a good thing, because when you sketch, don't just sketch to get the building and its form. Sketching helps you to pay attention to details that you may not have paid attention to before. For instance, if you focus on all the little elemental things, such as the columns, the way that the facade is assembled, the way that one line hits another, these are little details that help your design to grow and become more interesting. So when you pay attention, train your eyes to notice all the little details and not just the building as a whole. You need to look at all the things that help the building to become a whole. Communication and teamwork. That's very important. In architecture, you're going to collab with a lot of different professionals, sometimes other architects, sometimes architects who specialize within areas within architecture. For instance, you may have architects who specialize in building banks. You may have architects who specialize in hospitals. You also have to collaborate with engineers. You have to collaborate with contractors. You have to be able to communicate with your client, and you also need to convey your ideas to your client in order to sell it to them so that they can believe in what you want to design for them. So in order to, I think you should practice clear, simple communication. You can do it with your peers. You can also do it in groups and so on. Ability to learn new software and technology. You should have an open mindset towards technology. I think you need to start with simple digital tools. So I know nowadays that we have a lot of preset and pre-programmed applications, as well as AI that can do things for us. But it's also good to start with manual applications such as Photoshop, such as Illustrator, things that help you to design from the ground up rather than using a template, because this will help you in terms of using the software. Because when you start working within the CAD software, remember, you're working within a blank space. You don't have a template. So you need to program your mind to work within that blank space before you even get to architecture. So I would say you should try using manual applications that require you to start from the ground up, rather than using too many applications that have presets for you, because it kind of limits your ability to learn the future software. Patience and resilience. So projects take time and often change. With architecture, it takes, sometimes you could be working on a project for an entire year, and sometimes it might still not get built immediately. And that's usually due to several different things. It could be that the funds aren't there yet for the project. It might be that you don't have approval yet for the project. For this reason, you need to have a lot of resilience. You need to be patient, you need to take your time, and you need to keep designing. Just because something takes time doesn't mean that it wouldn't get done. Education and training pathways. Education or training pathways. Start with your CSEC or your CXC subjects that support design, math, science, and all the others I spoke about before, such as history, physics, and communication. Move on to an associate degree or a bachelor's degree in architecture or a related field. For me, particularly, I did my associates in physics and chemistry because at the time in college, I hadn't made up my mind yet as to what I was going to pursue. I knew I wanted to do something in creativity, but I didn't know what that thing was. So I did do the foundation subjects for that, and eventually I chose architecture. Complete an internship or apprenticeship to gain real world experience. This is important. Architectural school teaches you to design, they teach you to understand buildings, they teach you the psychology and the sociology of spaces. But with real world experience teaches you how to apply all this knowledge. And the application of knowledge is worth just as much as the information that you gather. Continue professional development. Architecture is a field where you're always going to be learning. For instance, like I said, there are 8 different classifications of architecture, and no architect knows enough about any one of these types of building. For if I get a building tomorrow that says that I need to design a school, I have to go and do research into schools. I have to go and ask students what are the facilities that they're looking for. I have to study plans. If I'm doing a hospital, I have to work with a specialist who can tell me what the labs will need, what particular drainage that this facility will need. So architecture is a field where you're always learning. You have to be in the mindset that you will never stop learning in this field. And we also have new innovations in technology in architecture, construction material, sustainable practices, as well as resilient practices. So just have an open mindset to just never stop learning. Career opportunities, local and international. Local career opportunities. You could work on an architectural firm. You could work for a construction company. You could move into government planning and departments. You could do interior designing, and you could do engineering and project management. All of these are opportunities locally in architecture in Grenada. Now, international career opportunities, architectural visualization and studios. Now, this is something, architecture isn't just something that's based in making real world applications. In the movie industry, for instance, architects are very much involved. With the use of CGI, you need people to construct these virtual worlds. These people are usually architects. Also, the gaming industry. If you want, you go to architects are the ones sometimes designing all these worlds, this virtual world that you're walking through in a game. So you can move to the visualization studio part of architecture, which has nothing to do with construction. Next, urban planning and design. I did urban design. Urban design, as we said before, it involves more designing spaces in the outdoors, such as plazas, such as transit system. It involves more of a large scale look at your site and not just at the building. So rather than thinking how your building function, you're thinking about how does all these buildings function together. So you're not just focused on the residential or the commercial building, you're focused on what's the relationship between all these different architecture within a space and how do they work with each other. Sustainable design and green building. Sustainable design and green building is always important, and I think it should be at the foundation of everything that we do. When you think about designing, you should always think of how can I reduce heating? How can I conserve or how can I reduce the impact of my building on the environment? These are things that should always be at the forefront of your thinking when designing. You can also work for a large global architectural firm, and there are also remote opportunities such as BIM, 3D modeling, and renderings. A lot of architectural firms, they don't have the time to actually do in-house 3D renderings and 3D modeling because these things take time. And so we do have companies that you can contact who would specialize. They're not architects, but they would take your 3D model that you send them and they will create stunning visuals for you. All right, we're at the questions and answer part. Hello?
Mr. Hamilton, thank you so much for your presentation. Very insightful. Currently, we do not have any questions in the chat. However, If we do have questions thereafter, we will call you back to
Hello?
respond to
I don't
those.
think I'm hearing you. Give me a second. All right.
Can you hear me
So,
now? Okay, I think it's frozen. Okay, so students, we had a question before in the chat. I think that question was relevant to Miss Lashington, so she's back to respond to that question. And the question was, does your talent matter? Miss Lashington, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that question. Such an excellent question. Does your talent matter? I absolutely believe yes. Talent matters. It's not the only thing that matters, though. So, for instance, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that you're good at what you're doing and that you're constantly improving what you're doing. In the presentation, you may remember I mentioned that I'm always doing courses to make sure I'm up to date. And even when I travel, I attend dance events. I go to other people's dance classes as a way to constantly improve the talent that I naturally have, but you also have to continuously nurture and develop your talent. Another thing I will say is that talent alone is not just enough. I know lots of people who are great at talent. They're so talented, but they lack some of the other necessary skill sets. And when we're talking talent, we're not just talking in the creative arts, we're talking anything. So whether it's drawing and architectural design, like Trevor just spoke to, or singing, dancing, plumbing, whatever your talent is, you have to be good at it and work towards it. However, I would say have talent in tandem with other soft skills like time management is a big one, right? Being early and on time, so important. Having people skills, having communication skills. One of the things we do at the agency is actually train people to do media interviews. So adding those other skill sets are also really important in whatever you choose, even though you have the talent. So thank you so much for that question.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lashington, for your response. I hope that provided some clarity. Once again, thank you very much to Mr. Hamilton for sharing his expertise and experiences with us today. Thank you so much. As we come to the end of today's program, we would like to express our sincere appreciation to all of our presenters, partners, and students who joined us for this year's GCSI Virtual Ready. Today's presentations have highlighted the exciting and diverse opportunities available within the services sector. And we hope that our students feel inspired to explore these careers in the future. To deliver the closing remarks, it is my pleasure to reintroduce Mr. Jude Bernard, Chairman of the Grenada Coalition of Services Industries. Mr. Jude Bernard.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miss Bernard. No relation. I always have to remind people. Uh, and thank all those who presented, all those who are involved in the organization of this exercise. As those of you who are at the beginning, you will have realized it was a very technical um, enterprise that we endeavored to get into this morning. We had a little hiccup at the beginning, but it turned out well. And before I say what I'm going to say in terms of closing, I'd like to add something to the question that was asked to Ms. Lashington just now. You know, talent is good, but it can get you only thus far. And there are two things I would like to add to what she said. Attitude. She spoke of soft skills, yes. Attitude. There is a popular belief that attitude determines your altitude. If you have good, positive attitude, you can get higher than anyone with even more skills than you do. So the attitude your person, your soft skills, your people skills. If you're arrogant and haughty and you feel that you know it all and you've just come from school and you know the latest technology, so you don't have to listen to those other folks. It won't get you very far. So attitude is very important. And the other thing that is so sadly lacking in Grenada today, at all levels, not only on the young, work ethics. Work ethics. Uh, it's not just a work, it's an opportunity to express yourself. It's an opportunity to, I would say, to use your skills. It's an opportunity to, I would say, to accomplish. That's what I wanted to say. What people call work to me, many times they see it as an opportunity for accomplishment and achievement. So when you are given something to do, see it as an opportunity. You may not like that particular task on that day or that role you're given, but embrace it and be the best that you can be at that role. And something I've said to young people all the time, you may be in a job or you may be even in a class at school that you detest. It may be the boss or the teacher or the lecturer or even your peers that you have to associate with. They may not be the people you like to spend time around. But if you have that negative attitude and say, I don't like this place, I cannot wait for when the time reaches at the end of the day to leave that job or to run away from the classroom and get somewhere else, then you're not focusing on learning. You're not focusing on improving yourself. So if you're in that job and you spend a year there, but you never liked it, and you were just a clock watcher and a fretter, always fretting and fuming, you leave when the good job comes up along, the one that you really wanted, you go to that job. How? Just the way you left the other one. Bad attitudes, lack of motivation, the lack of growth because you didn't grow. You only grow when you give off your best, whether it's in study or in work. You grow when you give off your best. You push yourself a bit more and then you grow. But if you're satisfied to just be there and say, oh, that's what I can do, that's where I am, that's the talent God gave me, no, it doesn't get you very far. And the exciting thing I always about this whole thing, as I say to folks all the time, young people especially, you know, when that great opportunity comes down the road for that dream job, you're now going to that dream job with all the skills that you learned while you were doing the one you didn't like. The perseverance, the dedication, the discipline, you take that all those with you to the new job. And no one in that old job can hold them back from you. Yeah, these are your skills that you developed. But sometimes people believe that when I don't want to learn anything here, I don't have to do anything here. I'll hold everything for when I go to the next position. Sadly, you go to the next position just the way you left this one. Nothing, no growth and nothing. So I implore you that the talent is one, the attitude you bring to it is another. And at the end of the day, sometimes we have to be selfish. Let's put it that way, in a positive way. Think of what elevates you. Think of what makes you a better person. Forget what is happening in your immediate environment, but think of what is going to take you to that other level. And once you focus on that, you'll be a better person where you are. And when you leave there, you're going to that other position much more prepared, much more talented than when you enter that first one. And The sky is your limit. So your attitude determines your altitude. In closing, I'd like to say that I am very happy that we were able to do this. It was an experiment. You were not guinea pigs, actually, but it's the first time we have actually done it this way. I trust that you found it rewarding. We would have loved to have more sessions, but because of the changes in the times, we've lost at least a couple sessions. And one of them I know was a very, very important one that we lost. However, we're going to do it again, God willing, and we're going to do it even better. And we hope that the next time we do it, that we'll have many, many more students to benefit from it. So I would like to thank the Ministry of Education. Without whose cooperation and collaboration, we couldn't have done that. We needed the support at every stage. I would like to thank the teachers in the different schools. I know you're coming to the end of the term. Tomorrow is the last day, and I know that this is the last thing some folks will want to do. I used to be a teacher too for 10 years. And I know how it feels when you come around that time. And I want to commend the students who could have been going around, doing, just nothing, as we say. You're almost at the nothing end of a term. And for those of you who exercise the discipline to be into the program today, I hope that you learned a lot and that you would leave this session today a different person. Praises can't be too high for the professionals like Mr. Hamilton, who's still here, Ms. Lashington, who just left, and the others who went before, for taking the time off their busy schedules to share with the future of Grenada. We want to thank you. We owe you a debt of gratitude for your sacrifice. Let me advise you that most of the presenters today, they are at the expo that we're having tomorrow and Saturday at the Grenada Trade Center. Unfortunately, I don't think Mr. Hamilton is going to be there, but we're going to have folks in all the other areas, plus more, representing the wide cross-section of services, emerging services, and the sort of things that you as students would need to start opening your eyes to as you look forward to completing school, going into careers, and the sort of paths that you may want to take. As we said, the theme for the week is "The future has arrived." You are our future. You are here with us. And I think that this was just one attempt to empower you as you take that path from here onward. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Bernard, for hosting this program, along with our main technical host, who was Ms. Philip Mashida, and all the others who are involved in making this a success. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a wonderful Easter break. And we trust that you would be, I would say, motivated and inspired to ask more, to think more, to question more as you enter this very crucial stage of your personal development. Once again, thank you, everyone. Did I leave anyone out, Tamika?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Bernard. And on behalf of the Grenada Coalition of Services Industries, thank you all for joining us today. We wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye, everyone.